So, the story starts with a guy who's sitting in jail, and in just a few hours, he's going to be hanged. But he's totally chill, like he has zero worries. Then a priest comes to see him and is shocked. How can someone be so relaxed right before death? He asks Bucket that very question. Bucket smiles and says, "Well, listen to my story. I've got only 4 hours left. What happens to me after that? I don't know, but for now, I'll tell you my story." And that's where the story begins. It takes place back when Buckets didn't even exist. The Buckets' mom was named Mary. She came from a super rich family called the Redfellow family. They had around $9 million in wealth. But Mary didn't care about all that money at all. When she turned 18, she met a regular guy at a party. He was a member of a band. Ellie liked him, and then one day Ellie found out she was pregnant. Hearing this, she got really stressed out, but she gathered the courage and told her dad everything about the baby. When he heard about it, her dad gets angry and can't stand the idea of their heir being linked to an ordinary person. He tells Mary, "You've got 2 choices, either get rid of this kid or leave the house." Mary doesn't hesitate for a second. She's ready to sacrifice everything, even her family and all her property. She even marries her friend and soon moves to a regular neighborhood in New Jersey. There were no facilities, no servants, just a simple, ordinary life. But Mary, I was happy. Then the day came when Bucket was born. At that time, Bucket's dad was in the hospital too, celebrating kid's birth, but he couldn't handle the excitement and had a heart attack right there, and he died on the spot. That's how Mary became a single mom, and from that day on, she started managing everything on her own. She didn't go back to her family and took up a regular government job. Although the pay was very low, she tried to give Bucket the life she never had with whatever little money she earned. She enrolled Bucket in the same school. He sent him to the place where all the kids from his family studied. He taught Bucket how to play the piano, dressed him up in the best clothes and prepared him mentally and physically to look like a rich kid. Because she knew that one day Bucket would have to go back to the world he came from. Here, Bucket liked one of his classmates, Julia, and wanted to be friends with her. But Julia wasn't interested in Bucket at all, since she was super rich and beautiful. Obviously, Bucket seemed rich too. But when Bucket asked her, he had honestly told her that he lived in a small area in New Jersey. That's why Julia stayed away from him. But Bucket told her that one day he'd have a lot of money. He told her the truth, the same thing his mom had told him, that he was part of the Redfellow family and that soon all their wealth would be his. After hearing this, Julia got close to him for a while, but then she felt like it was all a lie, so she started mocking him and distanced herself from his life. There was another the exam was coming up. One day, when he went home, he found out his mom was really sick. She had cancer. She was going to die. Bucket hoped that after hearing about his mom's death, the Redfellow family would come to him. But no one even called. Before dying, Mary held Bucket's hand and said, "I couldn't give you the life you deserved. But promise me you'll live the life you deserve one day. That life is your right." After saying this, she left this world. Before dying, he wanted to be buried in his family's graveyard. But the Redfellow family forced Bucket to bury his mom in a regular cemetery. After that, he tried to contact the Redfellow family again, but they just gave him a letter saying he had no rights there. So, he ended up in foster care. School, life, everything just slipped away like that, and he grew up. He did okay in school and eventually became an ordinary salesman. His life turned out just like any middle-class guy's. He was trying to adjust to his life. Then one day, Julia came back into his life again. Bucket's heart skipped a beat once more. But this time, Julia was already married. Still, Bucket gave it a shot. Julia refused and, as she was leaving, even made fun of him, saying, "Call me only when everyone in your family is dead." For Julia, it was just a joke, but for Bucket, it was a sign. Why hadn't he thought of this before? If everyone in the Redfellow family died, all the property would automatically be his. As soon as he arrives, he pulls up the family tree and finds out there are 7 people in the family. Only if all 7 of them die will the property be in his name. He closely watches the lifestyles of all 7, and the very first target he picks is Tyler. Tyler was a broker. Coming from such a big bucket notices that Tyler was enjoying his yacht alone, and the yacht had drifted pretty far from the party side. No one at the party knew Tyler was alone. Seeing this as the perfect chance, Bucket grabs a water scooter, heads over to the yacht, throws the anchor into the water, ties the anchor rope to Tyler's leg, and then leaves. As soon as the boat starts moving a little, the pressure on the anchor pulls Tyler's body down, and he drowns without anyone realizing what happened. It wasn't that he was a murderer. Everyone thought it was just an accident, and that Tyler was at fault. Bucket, who had come back to the party side, now had this weird feeling inside him. No matter how hard he thought about it, there was really nothing to it. It was all pretty easy. At the same time, he was scared and shocked. Bucket even went to Tyler's funeral. Like he wasn't afraid at all, like he hadn't done anything wrong. And there, he even meets Tyler's dad. He tries to come off as a really decent guy. And here, he even tells Tyler's dad the truth that he's Mary's son. Hearing this, the man gets really surprised and starts giving Bucket even more respect than before. At this point, he even apologizes to Bucket because he knows Bucket has been treated really badly. He says, "Mary was so brave. We were wrong. We couldn't even help her. But now that you're here in front of me, I want to get rid of this guilt I have for not helping Mary. You can work in my office, doing the kind of job my son would do. You could become a financier." Though, Bucket doesn't actually know how to do that job. He agreed right away. At least he got a chance to work in the Redfellow office, if not the family. Here, he met new people, learned new things, and realized that this world was very different from the one he had lived in before. Time passed like this. His life had settled a lot and was much better than before. Then one night, Julia called him again and told him he could ask her out for coffee once more. He decided to listen to her. He asks her again to go back to the hideout, but Julia refuses once more. Bucket didn't understand what Julia really wanted. Anyway, they kept talking between themselves. A few more days passed like this. Bucket knew what his mission was. He had to get back the position he promised his mom he'd reclaim. To do that, he had to take down every Redfellow family member who stood in his way. And his next target was Nova. Nova was an artist who did painting and also sang. He used to do that too, and he had a lot of other hobbies as well. One day, Bucket becomes a fan of his and goes to his art show. Since Bucket praises a lot of his work, they quickly grow close, and as soon as he gets the chance, Bucket tells him the truth, that he's his cousin. Hearing this, Nova gets happy. After his show, he even brings Bucket home. There, Bucket meets Ruth, who was Nova's friend and a bit different. Like Mary, she wasn't interested in money or stuff like that, and seeing how her mom thought, she was also. Bucket starts to understand a lot more. Anyway, for now, Bucket is leaving, but while going to Nova, he remembers his ink. Today, he came with the whole plan. Making an excuse to use the bathroom, he slips into Nova's workshop and mixes some other chemicals into the photographic chemicals. These chemicals were such that as soon as the light turned on, they'd spark and explode like a bomb. No one would ever know it was a planned murder. Everyone would just. It happened for a reason. After finishing his entire plan, Bucket left his jacket there and walked out. He did it on purpose because he knew Ruth would see his jacket and come to meet him. And that's exactly what happened, which made him show that they'd become friends now. So, here they start building their friendship. Meanwhile, on the other side, as Nova switches on the light in his workshop, a spark flies, causing a chemical explosion right there. There's a blast, and he ends up dying. Just like before, Bucket confidently goes to the funeral, and there, 2 FBI agents catch him. They ask Bucket if he has any connection or relation to this family. But Bucket clearly denies it, saying Nova was just a friend. Anyway, life moved on a bit. Bucket had learned his job really well at the office, and within a few months, he even got some clients. Warren, his uncle, had given him a whole office. His life was getting even better. Things had gotten pretty lavish. Then one day, Julia came to meet her again. But this time, she didn't just come for a casual visit. Actually, her husband had suffered a huge loss, and she came to Bucket to take a loan to cover it. Bucket was about to refuse giving Julia a loan because she had hurt him many times before. Hearing this, Julia got serious and threatened him, saying, "Just see if you want to give me the loan or end up at the police station." So far, 2 members of the Redfellow family have died. Tell me, who's going to be the third? Bucket found out that Julia knew everything. This time he kept quiet but had already planned to kill a third person named Stephen. Stephen was a pastor. As soon as he got the chance, he slipped something into his supplement. The interview went on for quite a while, but suddenly Stephen grabbed a sword, pressed it to his throat, and demanded, "Tell me the truth, who are you?" "The reporter whose identity you stole to get in here. That reporter died years ago." Even the Bucket seemed to breathe a sigh of relief this time. He thought he was done for. But then he played a new card and told Stephen, "Actually," Mungie said, "I thought some undercover reporter had come to expose me." That's how the talk went on, and during this time Stephen even drank the drink. Because of that, he had a heart attack after a while and died. Now, since all this happened inside a church, the church tried to save its reputation by calling the murder a natural death. And that's how Bucket got away even after the third murder. Meanwhile, Bucket's life was still going pretty normal. They decide. And that night, he even invites her over to his place for dinner. But as soon as he gets home, he finds Julia already sitting there. She starts rambling nonsense, and just then the doorbell rings. He knows it has to be Ruth. So, he sneaks Julia out the back door and doesn't bring Ruth inside. Instead, they head to another restaurant, and this time, all his secrets stay hidden from Ruth. As for his plan, this time he's plotting to kill Castra. Castra was a really nice lady and had adopted around 11 kids. She was also involved in a lot of charities. But at home, she lived a super lavish life. There was heavy security at her place, and when she found out that many people in her family had already been killed, she tightened the security even more. She installed laser systems all around her house. She even got her office protected. But there was one thing she forgot. Every week, she wanted to go to a spa with no security. Bucket took advantage of her usual weakness and one day got inside by becoming an employee. He offered Cassandra a free teeth whitening treatment, and he wanted to go to the moon himself. One day, Bucket casually followed his employee into the workshop and slipped poison into his coffee. The poison didn't take effect immediately. It hit when he was flying his private fighter jet. He lost control of the plane, which crashed, killing him. After every murder, only 2 people were left. One was his grandpa, and the other was his uncle, who had given him his own son's place and supported him through every tough time. He had decided not to kill his uncle because his uncle had filled the void left by his dad in his life. Now everything was fine. Everything was normal. He had even gotten the lavish life he wanted, and Ruth was finally going to meet him. He thought his life was all set, but then the troubles started again. The FBI reopened all the cases because during Stephen's death, something fishy had happened. It was the time when Stephen died. The FBI guys came and asked where I was at that time. Bucket said he was eating hot dog, and he even showed the CCTV footage of his employee. But since his face wasn't clearly visible in the footage, he was still under suspicion, and a lot of agents were assigned to follow him. Life just went on like this. Days passed, and then his uncle's health started to decline. He had a heart attack. He was admitted to the hospital for quite a few days, but no one from their home was there to take care of him. He didn't show up. Bucket was the one who took on all the responsibility, and because of that, his uncles were even more impressed. They ended up transferring a lot of their properties to his name, and then one day, they passed away too. Their deaths really broke Bucket. He didn't want his uncles to die. Anyway, he got over that grief pretty quickly because on the same day as Ruth's engagement, he also got an invitation from his grandfather. He was super confused about where to go. That's when he finally decided to tell Ruth the whole truth, that he actually comes from the Redfellow family. He's a member, and after many years, his grandpa has called him, and he wants to go. Ruth tells him, "I won't stop you, but I will say this, you better be back home before the engagement. He agrees with Rath and is just about to make plans to go after work when Julia suddenly shows up at his office. This time, Julia has a bunch of pictures in her hand, which are solid evidence against the real Bucket for every murder he's committed. She says, one testimony from me can ruin your whole life because I know Taylor is a great swimmer. So how did he end up drowning? And the day Steven died, you were at the hot dog stand. Hearing this, Bucket started sweating nervously. He said, if you want to avoid all this trouble, just do one small favor. My husband is still stuck in depression, sitting in his office. He needs $300,000. You need to go right now, sign this check, and give it to him. Before Julia could tell all this to the FBI agent, he ran to her husband. He goes to meet him, and the first time he sees his grandpa in front of him, he gets really emotional. But his grandpa wasn't in the mood for all that emotion. He talks to him straight away and asks, how come you are getting promoted so fast? You've come so far in finance. Bought such a nice house. What do you do these days? Come on, tell me honestly, how did you beat everyone? Hearing this, Bucket got nervous again. This time he stays quiet, so Grandpa starts talking himself. Mary was my dearest daughter, and to her, I was the most. I trusted you a lot. But what you did completely broke the trust. I never wanted to meet you. But today, life forced me to. Look, there's no one else around me right now, only you. Still, I don't want to be with you because you're the one who pushed everyone away from me. First Mary, and now my entire family. Saying this, he steps forward, pulls out an antique gun, hands it to Bucket, and says, end it. Me too. Bucket takes the gun, but he can't bring himself to shoot his grandpa. The gun, he puts it down, and Grandpa grabs the gun from his hand and tries to shoot him with it. Seeing this, Bucket gets worried. He tries to save himself and runs away. But Grandpa chases after him, firing bullets. To protect himself, he rushes into a room and finds a bow and arrow there. Bucket picks up the bow and arrow, trying to defend himself. But his first arrow misses. So, he takes another arrow to save himself. This second arrow hits the target, and he goes on to. The knife went straight into his grandpa's chest, and his grandpa died right there. For the first time, his hands were shaking while killing someone. It was because today was their engagement, and how could he just leave? He dropped everything and revealed that his grandpa had passed away. This was how he died. He had even kept this truth hidden. When Ruth heard about her grandpa's death, she forgave him. Anyway, now their life takes a whole new turn. Bucket suddenly inherits all the wealth that his mom had left behind. Life changes completely, and in this new life, he keeps Ruth by his side. But Ruth felt really uncomfortable. She didn't want this life. She didn't belong in this world. She wanted to stay. That's why she had left Nova and chosen Bucket. But Bucket's life was the same now. Bucket was also happy at this party. Suddenly, FBI agents show up at the party and quietly arrest him. He panics. He doesn't understand what murder he's being accused of. But when the FBI tells him he's being arrested for the murder of Julia's husband, he breaks down. What he did wasn't the reason for his arrest, it was this crime he was being charged with. He was sent there for something he didn't even do. When he's brought to court, he finds out that the mastermind behind everything is none other than Julia. Julia was the one who turned her husband's suicide case into a murder case and pinned all the blame on Bucket, saying that Bucket wanted to get to her, so he killed her husband. After hearing all this, Ruth leaves him and goes away, and Bucket can't do anything about it. Just before dying, Julia tells, turn your death into life, because I know my husband committed suicide, and I have the suicide note. But there's a catch, you have to transfer all your. I've already told you. Right then, the cops show up and it seems like he's about to meet his end. But luck turns around for him when they find out Julia hadn't betrayed him. She saved Bucket's life by leaving a suicide note for the police. When he got out of jail, Ruth was there. She gave him back his locket and walked away without saying a word. Bucket felt like his life had gone back to zero, just like it was years ago. He was just about to start everything fresh when suddenly he saw Julia, all grown up. She had come in the sea vehicle to pick him up. Bucket realized that Julia now wanted to stay with him and share this fortune with him. He had everything now, the wealth, and the love from his childhood, but not the one he truly loved. This time, for the last time, he remembered the priest. The priest knew everything but didn't tell the police because he knew Bucket had already confessed to his God. And now, neither Bucket nor God's secret was going to be revealed. Bucket's life was messed up. And just like that, Bucket. This movie